Hey again. So now we're going to go over the word data summary program. This is a program that finds the most popular word from a arbitrary string text field here. So it counts the most popular word, how many times it appears, and finds all the number of words that repeat. And I expect some of you, I was hoping you would think this through and try to develop your own algorithm. And if you came up with nested loops, like a for loop within a for loop, that is kind of what I was hoping for, because I want to show you a different way of doing it. The nested for loop approach is completely, correct for this assignment, but it also has worst or poorer algorithmic efficiency in terms of the big O notations we were learning about last week. So nested loops has quadratic time complexity, whereas I'm going to show you an approach using a data structure called a map, which is basically like a dictionary in Python that has linear time complexity, and many of its operations are constant time complexity. So we are going to use a new data structure to complete this, which is a map. And you can think of a map like key value pairs. So in our case, we want the key to be the string, which is the actual word that we're going to count. And the value is going to be how many times that word appears. We'll just call it map. And we have to import that from java.util. So we need to do a little processing on this text before we can start adding words to our map. And hopefully you saw my announcement just to use the replace all method. And I gave you the values for that. So this will accept the regular expression, and we just want it to look for these two characters, these two punctuation marks, the period and the comma, and replace it with an empty string. And then finally we need to iterate over each word in the string text. So we can just do a enhanced for loop for that and use the split function. So it would be, let's make sure we get the right variable, split. And we're also going to need to initialize our map before we can add anything to it. So let's do that here as well. Again, this is all within our class constructor, which is fine since we're doing some like pre-processing logic to get the class properly set up. And there's a few different implementations we'll learn about. You don't need to know about them for now, but the most common one is hash map. I wonder if it just needs the import. Oh, I just forgot a new. Silly me. All right, so now we can start adding words to our hash map, and we want to count we want to keep track of how many times that word appears while we're iterating over a sentence. So you could use like a if-else statement, like check if the word is already in the map. Sorry, but there's an even more straightforward method that the map class gives us. So we can just call map.put and we're going to put in a new key. And here we want to check if the word's already in the map. If it is, we'll get it. If it's not, we'll just treat it like it's 0. So we're going to use this get or default method. Again, if the word has already been added to the map, this will get how many, the value, the count of how many times it's appeared. Otherwise, we want to treat it like it's 0, that it hasn't appeared yet. It hasn't shown up. It hasn't been added to the map. And either way, we want to increment it by 1. So we can just add 1. And that's really all we need to do to get this map set up. So this will all load as soon as the class is created and create our new map data structure that automatically counts how many times the word appears in the text. So these methods become much, much easier once we've added that data structure, and I'll show you why. So to find the most popular word, we do want to create a placeholder and then just iterate over the map key value pairs. So let's create a most popular word and just set it to an empty string for now. And we'll create a max counter. Iterating over maps can be a little tricky at first because we have to actually iterate over the key value pairs, which are stored as an inner class of a map called entry. But once you realize this is just an inner class, it's really not that difficult. So we're going to grab this inner class, which is like it says there, yeah, the key value pair. And it does want us to re-specify the generics again. So that's just the type. And then let's say, so again, this is an enhanced for loop. So for each entry in map, now we can iterate over it. Oh, yeah. And we have to call a method called entry set to get all those entries as an iterable. And it's yelling at us because it wants a return statement. We know we're going to return most popular word. Okay, so we have an entry. Let's check if our entry's value is more than the current max. And if it is, we are going to update most popular word to the entry's key and update the max counter as well. Get value. And that is it. So really straightforward, a lot easier than nested loops and trying to keep track of a lot of different counter variables. The other thing that makes this easier as a whole is this method becomes almost completely redundant. All we have to do is call through to find most popular word to get that value from the map. So we can just say get, and here we want to call the find most popular word. So this will check the map for that string key and get the value associated with it. So let's work on this last one. And here we just need to, let's see. So we don't even need to know what the words are that are being repeated. We just need to know how many repeat words exist. So we can just look at the values for each entry and count the number of repeats. So the number of values that are more than one. We'll start with 0 and then do our enhanced for loop for integer. Let's call it count. So for each integer in map, and we want to get all values. So I think there is, just a values method, which returns a collection of all the integer values. And then we'll just check if the count is more than 1. Increment repeats, and then we're going to return repeats. All right, let's see if this works for our little test stub method here. And it works. So the most popular word is indeed do, which appears twice here. And do shows up twice, and there's only one word that is repeated. So let's run our tests now. And all tests pass. So again, the point of this, it's not that whatever, and some of you I think did use maps, which is awesome if you already found that out. But I just wanted to show you how much easier a data structure can make this code rather than kind of, convoluted nested loops, which are hard to read and are also, more inefficient in terms of big O notation. So yay for data structures, and either approach is completely valid for this assignment and will get you full points if all the tests pass. So anyway, thanks everyone. Hope this helped.